morning, traders. It's exciting to be here with you guys. Exciting to be here trading, doing the fun stuff every day. I'm the host of the Moses, Aaron, and the incredible person to my left or my right, depending upon the orientation of your stream, is our resident disciple, disciplined Duke, our dynamic, discretionary detective, the stock sniper himself, David. How you doing, sir?
Wonderful. Had a nice long weekend. U.S. markets were closed on Friday, kind of going into a long weekend. And then the European markets were closed yesterday. So I joined Rich over on the London stream to what were really, really quiet markets. And then I really didn't get active in terms of trading until yesterday afternoon, but really just took this weekend to kind of just max out on the relaxation. Had hosted an Easter dinner at the house. And just kind of reset the batteries a little bit. You have to take advantage of these long weekends in the market. Give yourself a little bit of time to kind of regroup a little bit. You know, make sure you're doing your weekly reviews. Make sure you did your monthly reviews. You know, and then and really, if you do a quarterly review on top of that, might be a good idea because we are now into the next quarter. You know, yesterday markets were. You know, it was kind of like a little bit of a sell-off, and we're kind of continuing that theme this morning. But we got a really data heavy week this week, this being the first week of the quarter. So I think the market's just looking for answers in the data and trying to determine if we're going to get that data that supports what Fed said during the last FOMC. So all in all, really excited for this trading week, and looking forward to seeing if we can't find some opportunities in these markets to be able to take advantage of. How was your weekend?
It was great. You know, it was beautiful being able to spend Easter with the family, do all the fun stuff. We're a Catholic family, so it was a lot of church.
Yeah.
Church like 4 times this past week, but you know, got.
So you're an Easter Vigil guy. You're an Easter Vigil guy. You go every year.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Okay. We just moved to the area, so it's the first time I've had a vigil. The vigil ended up being 3.5 hours. That's
yeah.
That's a first for me. It's not usually that long, but it was beautiful, man. So
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was absolutely wonderful. I did a lot of not trading because exactly like you said, the markets are a little sleepy. Even in and around these times, we just see the market slow down considerably. And now we're finally seeing a little bit more in the volatility. I watched a little bit yesterday. I didn't actually place any trades. Des, welcome in. It's always good to see you, my friend. But
morning.
Today, I'm excited to be back in the markets and excited to be hitting it. What are you trying to pay attention to today? What's the focus for David? What are the opportunities you're looking at?
So I kind of wanted to go over a couple of things, and I'll get my charts brought up here real quick. Wow, I don't even know if news just came in on Tesla or not, but let me. Oh my goodness! This candle here that's forming. I don't know what happened. This is weird. Like this just, right at 9 o'clock. Wow. Okay. I'm going to have to do some digging on that. That is really, really aggressive. I know Rivian had some numbers come out this morning, but that was that was about 8:30 ish time frame. This move here, I was just surprised. I'm getting ready to talk what I did on Tesla yesterday and what I was looking for on Tesla. But Tesla's creating new levels as we speak right now. So I took a couple of trades on Tesla thinking that, so Tesla sold off really aggressively in the morning. I was, again, like I said earlier, I was not in the markets in the morning. I was just off the charts. I was in and around the house. We're getting ready to receive a delivery of some long-awaited furniture. So I was just kind of away from the charts. And I said, let me see if activity picks up in the afternoon. Tesla sold off aggressively in the morning. And then basically from about 10:30 into the close, we were basically bidding up the rest of the day. So I thought to myself, okay, if we're going to break this 173 level with some conviction, I will take this long. I was able to capture a long. I was able to reload the 1750 level, sell into basically the 174 level, got stopped out on the remainder of the position, and Tesla rallied into the close right at 355 off of an imbalance, right? I know I've mentioned this before, right? You got these market on close orders. They post the imbalances at 350. If those don't get paired off, a lot of times at 355, you can see an extended move. It doesn't, I'm not going to say it's a guarantee, but you can see some expansive moves in there. It did kind of rally up into the close in or around the opening range, right? Basically attempted to close flat to green, right? You look at the previous close price, it was in and around this 175 level. It was attempting to close green. What's happened now on Tesla? I have no idea. So as we get into the stream, we'll see if I can't find some news on this move here. But oh my God, that like this candle here, this is a 5-minute chart from 172 all the way down to 163. And I don't know that this is done yet. I just know that this 160 level, I'll pan this back out and let's take a look at the daily, and we'll look at like, okay, 163 in and around this price here. This is ahead of this last swing low. If we take this back over the past couple of years, this is in and around support, right? So all through here, there's probably resting orders, resting bids, to kind of, or profit taken on any shorts that have been made from up here for longer term traders, if you will. So this will have to churn through these orders if we're going to see definitive continuation. But that move in the past 5 minutes is extremely aggressive. And if you're looking to trade, and if you're a mean reversion trader, this is a very, very dangerous trade. If you sit there and say, this is an outsized move, I'll go ahead and buy this. If you don't know what's happening in Tesla right now, like you definitely have to avoid action like this until you've got the news. You can discern it for yourself, and you're going to have to make your own decisions on this. But this has to have popped off on news. And whenever I look at a Tesla or something that's falling, you want to try and find a stock in the space to see if it's following suit. And so Rivian comes to mind. So RIVN. Let's put that into the charts here real quick and see what the action is on Rivian. Yeah, Rivian, pretty much the same thing. So I think what we're looking at here is EVs are kind of out of favor this morning. So something to pay attention to as the market comes in. I was getting ready to say that Tesla 173 was a pivotal level. That's what I was getting ready to say when I had just pulled up the Tesla chart, and I said, okay, if we're going to reject the 173, it could be a short. If we're going to hold the 173, it could be a long. That was kind of basically my price point of interest in Tesla was at 173. We sold off the 173 definitively. We've been seeing these moves late in the pre-market, going into the market open. And and if all you do is trade during open hours, you don't necessarily get to take advantage of those. But it's a very dangerous trade in terms of what you could be doing on Tesla. I mean, we're at a 9-cent spread, so still fairly liquid for pre-market hours. But these spreads can open up on you, and you could be $1 or $2 on the wrong side of a trade if you find yourself off sides rather easily, because liquidity on these things on any stock really could dry up rather quickly. But yeah, so I was looking at Tesla 173. Now I'm gonna have to rethink. Barry says, nah, buy the dip. Now we're going to have to rethink this, right? We're going to have to see some stability in and around these levels. Again, we are at or around the daily level, probably a weekly level in this 160 area, 163, 160 area. So let's see what happens from here. But this is a very, very pronounced move on, again, I don't know what happened with Tesla. So I'm going to have to look around for some Tesla news if I have the opportunity. But we saw the semi sell off. We see the Q selling off. We see Apple selling off right back into that long-term support. I don't know if that long-term support holds at this point. We tried to rally on Apple's news with the whole Google and Gemini AI, talking about integrating a Google AI product into Apple some way through software, obviously. And we've sold off all that exuberance. Let's look at the daily levels. So what's strong? So Google was performing strong. I haven't seen it on the intraday charts. I haven't had a chance to look. Google, Meta, and Amazon. Amazon less so, but Google and Meta showing some strength on the daily. So they were kind of bucking the trend yesterday a little bit. Google made a new all-time high yesterday. So Google doing Google things all on Google's own, while the semis and everything else have just been puking all over themselves. So one of the things we talk about going into a new quarter and going into a new month, whatever, is especially the quarter. You're going to have to find relationships. See if the pre-existing relationships actually exist in the new quarter, or are we going to establish new relationships in terms of how stocks interact with each other or how stocks interact with the market as a whole. We're talking oil up, right? We're talking oil at like $88, give or take, depending on which futures contract you're looking for or looking at. So you're starting to see signs a little bit that, hey, like this isn't like all systems go for the market to continue up. So you're going to have to pick and choose your spots if you're a long bias trader in order to trade these markets up. If not, then hope you know how to short, because it seems like we're going to be making money on the short side of things on the short term. One more thing I wanted to share with you. Let me go back to. I've got so many tabs here. This one here, and I'll pull it up here. Okay, so NVIDIA 893 was important to me, and it's given that up. We'll see. We're not too far below it, and so NVIDIA moves dollars, not cents. So you do have to take that into account. So NVIDIA, that 893 level was important. It seems to me like we're trending down, and we're going to push down aggressively. Again, with all this stuff just kind of selling off, you have to be careful at the open to not just punch short, because you've had these moves down. See if it goes back up to a key level, right? So see if it goes back up to this 170, this 893 on NVIDIA. See if Tesla comes back towards the 173. See if you can't sell it again. And then if you're looking alongside, I think you're going to have to wait to buy the dip. You need the open market to show you that these levels are going to hold. Maybe it's a 15-minute level, a 30-minute level, or even an hour level to make sure that it's actually going to hold. Because this sell-off is really, really aggressively, and it's looking like that on the futures as well, that we sold off quite aggressively in quite a few things. Looking at what we're doing on the futures, we're down below 18.3 now, and we were talking about 18.6 in and around those Fed levels. So we're 300 points off of that. So it seems to me like the market's a bit nervous.
Just a tad bit. When you're looking at what we're seeing in the NASDAQ, we're seeing a little bit of trepidation, which is to be expected. It's to be expected that we're seeing a little bit in the way of nerves. It's expected that we're seeing a little bit in the way of we don't want to make any decisions because things have happened and we're not sure how to take a lot of them. When you're looking at things from the yearly perspective, guys, we've been up towards highs. We talked about this once, we talked about it twice, we talked about it 48 times. We've been up towards highs now for weeks on end. So this market is finally starting to find a little bit in the way of exhaustion. FOMC meeting minutes came out, and we saw absolutely nothing as we expected. The Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, they just kind of stuck the course. And now we're starting to see a little bit more in terms of a pullback, a significant pullback to the downside. The last time we saw something like this was in the middle of March, but not with this much selling pressure, not with this much aggression. When you look at the quarter, this kind of tells the story really well. This is the delineation that shows the new quarter here, and this is the rest of the quarter from this past trading quarter. We popped up to highs 3 times and barely made new highs each time, then found selling pressure to the downside. The monthly picture is incredibly similar. Found this high, found a high, found an equal high, found that equal high, and continually sold off. Looking at this area, this is a great opportunity for buyers to start coming in. We started seeing a lot of pressure on these are 2-hour candles. These are 4-hour candles, excuse me. Sorry, these are 2-hour candles, sorry. But this area here around the 300 is a magnificent area for the market to start finding some strength. So I will have a slightly long bias, but I'm going to be incredibly careful moving forward because you have to wait for this thing to stop pushing to the downside, right? And right now it doesn't really seem like it wants to. This is a weekly chart looking at 30 minutes specifically, and it's falling through the floor. Levels that I'll be looking at, I'll be combining this area with this area. Thursday was not really a trading day in the same way, that we didn't see much action, which is to be expected. But I'm going to merge these two profiles together to give me a clearer idea of where I want to be. I don't think we'll get up to this level, but value area low from this past Friday was, well, yesterday coupled with Thursday was right around 18,450. Again, I don't think we'll get that high. When you look at where we're trading towards a point of control all the way from the 20th. So there's a lot of room here. But if we get back up that way, 450, 400, nice round numbers, and down to the downside, 18,250. So a lot of 50s, a lot of big round numbers we're trading around. Those are the things that I'm going to be paying attention to for the NASDAQ. I'm going to be incredibly careful moving forward. The more exciting asset, in my opinion, right now is probably just going to be crude oil. Crude oil, from a seasonality perspective, we're heading into summer, and we're seeing a lot more in the way of demand. Demand is building across a variety of economies. So there are a lot of fundamental reasons why we're seeing oil perform the way it is. If you guys look at the quarterly performance, I mean, this is exhausting. We saw lows of around 67, 65 bucks towards the beginning of the year. And now we're sitting at $85. I apologize to all you gas guzzlers out there. It's not going to be fun over the next couple of weeks. But oil, in my opinion, has a much clearer picture than the NASDAQ. I mean, obviously, if you look at the chart, of anything but a buy is incredibly risky. This is something that I'm going to be paying much closer attention to as we pull back a little bit more aggressively. I'd like to see this thing get below the 85 area and then try to buy it at specifically right around the 84.40s, 84.50s. That's where I'd be interested in getting long. But I think that chart is a little bit tells a much better story. It's a little bit more convincing, in my opinion. So I'm going to be paying pretty close attention to this. I'm forward testing a new crude oil strategy to kind of supplement my NASDAQ trading. That's really the core of everything that's happening from the future side of things. I think. Yeah, please.
No, so I was going to say a couple things I was looking at yesterday. Smaller cap stocks. We'll see if they're in play today. Volume really has to come into these things. First things first, I'll pull this up here. The weed stocks have caught some volume here lately over the past week. So I got the CGC chart up here. We rallied from basically, it was just kind of like kind of a slow drift downward, and then we middle of the month towards the end of the month, especially this last little bit, we've seen a lot of volume come into these stocks. We'll see if some volume comes in, continues to kind of play out in this today. Volume is tapering off a little bit, but I'm interested to see if this holds in or around the $7 level and see if we can get a push back up on CGC. And then another small cap stock that I was looking at yesterday is CXAI. I was trying to participate in this yesterday. Again, I only traded basically power hour. And what I was noticing, right, was we had this shelf in and around $6, right in here. And so here at about closer to 3 o'clock, I had a bid at about 603. Something like that. It came within 1 penny of filling me. 1 penny. And then my sad self didn't get filled, and it pushed up to $7. It was able to actually, and so my plan for this was this. If I got filled here, I was going to give it about 25 cents into kind of like these lows here, give it down to about 5 3/4, and see if we couldn't break through the previous high, take a partial there, and then take something out against the whole dollar, prior to the whole dollar. Probably looking at trying to get like a 690 exit on the entire position, and then that was just going to be the trade on that. Usually on small caps, I don't take reloads. I usually just take one fill, execute the trade, and then get out of there. I missed it by 1 penny. But at the same time, I went back and said, okay, my thesis in terms of like how I could execute a trade on this trade, going with the trend, seeing that it was holding the $6 level pretty much all day after its big run up in the morning. I had confidence that we could get a little bit of a rally. Didn't think $7. I thought definitively, into that 650 level. Let's make a run to the highs. It did that, and then just kind of took off without me. And so I was looking at this originally, saying, okay, when I wrote down, I said $6 is important on CXAI, and then we saw $7 reject. We're now trading below that. We're trading below the $5 level that I kind of had marked off mentally here. This little bit of consolidation here, and so and volume has really just fallen off of the stock. So it's not going to be something I'm looking at today, because you need this kind of volume here in order to kind of get this stuff to play out. If the market does seem kind of light on volume, I may go back to something that is looking like it's running. Usually your small caps tend to be more interacted with when volume in the market overall is really on the lows. But with such a big pronounced move in the market, it's going to be interesting to see at the morning what we do with these prices that we've now set to open up with.
Fun, man. I'm sorry about that position. Missing it by a penny.
A penny. By a penny.
That's a tad bit disrespectful, and I feel like the market deserve to be paid by the market for that kind of disrespectful activity. It happens to the best of us.
It does.
But sometimes it just feels like you're getting picked on. I've been short my whole life, David. There's no reason for the market to remind us that we're not perfect and we're not 6'15". I don't know. You might be. I've never seen you stand in real life.
No, I'm not 6'15". But things in America are made for people my height, which means I'm not going to have bad knees. Sure. I can get in and out of things very effectively. But I'm definitely not getting my view blocked very often. As long as I'm not hanging out with the basketball team, right? So. I would say if I was a football player, I'd be one of those. I'd be a small running back, like a Darren Sproles, something like that. Just kind of like shifty, kind of like not as fast anymore. Bad back, bad ankle. But all the same, I was a fast kid in school, so I played center field. And I hated it because I had to cover a lot of ground. Coach he saw that I was fast, and he's like, and my dad, growing up when we were playing baseball, he was a big baseball player. I was like, Dad, when are we gonna hit? And he's like, no, we're gonna work on defense. And I felt like all we did was work on defense. I got the world's greatest crow hop. I'm a pretty good outfielder. You're like, what's a crow hop? So it's a hop that you do. Yeah, so it's a hop that you do from the outfield. That builds momentum into your throw. So you'll see them and they'll kind of skip and they skip into that momentum. I had a beautiful crow hop when I played baseball. Like it looks stellar, like, cause my dad made me do that like 100 times a day. But yeah, it's basically when they hop like that, it's just to build momentum and to like really lunge the ball from the outfield if you're trying to get somebody out at the plate. And I used to have a little cannon. It wasn't accurate, so I couldn't pitch. So there was the other thing. So I was stuck in the outfield for most of my life. But then as I got older, you start playing softball a little bit, and then you move into Phantom, my friend. What's up? Welcome. But back to the markets. Everything is selling off and puking all over itself. I got the chart up there. You see NVIDIA doing what it's doing right now, really pushing, really trying to invite people into the short. At this point, I'm going to be very, very careful if I try to get into anything in these markets. You see Tesla kind of starting to form a little base of support in and around that 163. We'll see if it holds in the market. If you like those rubber band trades, right? And that's in your wheelhouse. Your strategy allows for that. Tesla's starting to form a little basis of support. We'll see if this holds and could push back up. Even a 50% retracement is going to get you several dollars, right? You don't really have to get this entire move back. I don't anticipate that Tesla is going to that Tesla is going to recover all of this price action and get back into yesterday's close. If it does, amazing. But if it doesn't, that's fine. You probably want to find a way to find a way into a trend short if this is going to continue. But this was just such an outsized move, like selling at the bottom. It really doesn't make sense. It just doesn't, even though the trend is down. If you're wanting to take this short because you think there might be a little bit more continuation, you're going to have to wait for prices to kind of consolidate, push back up, attempt to get into maybe that 170 level, and this could be something where you start playing fibs on, right? And you say, okay, let's blow this up a little bit. And let us know in the chat if you're a fib trader, if you like trading fibs, if this is something that, you look at yourself. So we take it from the high to the low, right? And there's your fibs right there. All right. So this is the leg. We'll see if we get continuation, then you have to kind of redraw the fib and take it. You have to wait for the move to be completed. But you look at this and you say, okay, this is the 100% retracement level, right? Places of interest for a lot of people, right? 50% retracement levels are played by a lot of people, and then the 62%, right? So if you're going to continue on trend, and you want to take this short, a lot of fib traders will say, well, let's use the fibs to help guide us, find these retracement levels, play off of these levels, right? When you don't really have anything else, you look left and there's nothing here, right? And so you could sit there and say, okay, let's go ahead and see if we can't get some fib levels, see if they come into play and see how they interact in and around the fib levels. And, I don't typically use them, but what I will say, because if you draw too many lines on the chart, they all start working magically. They're like, oh, it's interacting with the 5 and the 9 and the 21 and the 50, and then you got the 61.8 fib, and then you've got this other line, and I got this trend line, this ascending wedge, this descending, and then all of a sudden I'm getting confused. All three of my brain cells are working overtime, and then I don't place a trade because I can't see the charts. But this is, so I'm looking at this retracement level and saying, okay, if we're going to continue trend short, maybe that action is there. I think Tesla kind of coiling up down here. I think, it does have the juice to kind of move back up into these levels, maybe give you a little bit of a scalp long, and then you could take this thing back short in and around the open. We're 2 minutes from the open, so this is going to be the last candle. So I'm going to be very interested. I'm going to keep this up on the screen as we get into the open and see what this does. But again, Tesla finding some support, whereas Nvidia, not yet, right? This is midway through the candle. We're printing another green candle, but this has been trend down. So Nvidia has not established any support as of yet. So we're going to have to be patient this morning as we get into the open. And Phantom asking, is there a reason for NAS dumping this morning? I'm going to have to do I'm going to have to look around and see what the heck happened. Aaron and I were just hanging out together, and we're talking about our trade ideas and how we're going to dominate the markets. And then as soon as I pull up a Tesla chart, it's puking $10 all over itself. No idea why it's dumping this morning. We do have numbers coming up, and we didn't really talk about those.
Jolts. Yeah.
We got the Jolts job openings, a couple other numbers coming out at 10 o'clock, right? So, we always talk about that news dump, and maybe people are kind of trying to de-risk ahead of that number in order to see what that number comes back or comes in at, because we've been disappointed as a market in strong job numbers, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that as a personal thing in terms of, I want the market to never produce jobs, but the market in terms for the longs really wants to see a little bit more pressure on those labor markets to increase the likelihood of the Fed cutting rates. 3 seconds here, according to my clock. And
there's the bell. Deep breath, guys. We're in this thing. Real quick, just so you guys can see it, the news for today, we got a bunch of nothing. And then we got something really important in Jolts. Jolts is forecasted at 8.76. That's jobs openings. It's a very interesting data point we're going to be paying attention to. We also have some Fed speakers hopping on and moving their lips. We got to be super careful heading into these markets. Just be incredibly aware of the fact that we are working to make stuff happen here. Opening up again, you guys know where I'm at. I'm looking for longs. I'm looking for this thing to move aggressively into and above the 300 and then hold that level. I don't like how slow this market is moving.
Nvidia rallying off the open.
Is it really?
It's opened up. We were down at 882.46, and we are already at. We're going to push 890 here very, very shortly. Again, Nvidia moves dollars, not cents. But again, the key price level that needs to be eclipsed for a long to kind of be in that pocket is that 893 level. We didn't quite get there. We pushed up into 889.33. We're rejecting that. We literally just lost $6 off of that. So again, we're still within the first 5-minute candle, the first 3-minute candle. So nothing for me to do at this point. I'm going to have to pack my patience for breakfast and lunch, it looks like, because I do, these markets are with such an aggressive move, you would think that it would be an easy short, but in my opinion, it really is not. Let us know in the chat what you guys are looking at this morning. If you guys are looking to get anything, if you want us to look at any charts, we'll be happy to look at those for you, especially if we're not quite in position as of yet. But yeah, lots of volatility in a couple of things that I'm looking at this morning. This Nvidia chart is just insane. This is basically what Tesla was a couple of years ago. And what Apple was prior to that, right? Apple used to be the stock du jour that traders like to be involved with in terms of day trading, and kind of shifted to Tesla, and Nvidia has kind of overtaken Tesla a little bit. You can still get some volatility in Tesla. And I do enjoy trading Tesla because it provides just enough. It's in that Goldilocks zone of volatility for me, with the right kind of spreads to allow for enough movement and allow my arthritic fingers to kind of keep up with it and make sure that I could capture some profit a little bit. But yeah, I think Tesla is as what it's doing right now, it's kind of holding support. Again, I see support in and around that 162 level. We're trading at about 165. We did push up to through the 166 level, which is about that 50%. We're getting close to that 50% retracement level that I've talked about to see if Tesla's going to continue to be a trend short. We should start to see those answers in and around 167.50, and then 168. 70 is that 62% retracement level. So we'll see how it interacts in and around those prices. But currently, as it stands, the market, I'm going to pull up these charts here over on the side and see what the futures are still leaking a little bit.
It's coming straight from the forehead too, man. It's a bad cut. It's right over the eye. We can't really see much. We're bleeding, and it's not looking great. I was looking for that opportunity, like I was talking about, guys, for us to get to that 300 and start showing some strength. It has not done so quite yet. And again, I do have a bias to buy, but I have to wait for this thing to stop falling over itself, because right now the Nasdaq has decided we don't really want to make a clear decision to the upside until maybe that jolts number comes out bad.
Nvidia making a new low. By the way, we just hit a low of 881.22 on Nvidia, but a very, very indecisive 5-minute candle. We've got a minute left on Nvidia on the 5-minute to see what it's going to do. But very, very, if you don't know what a doji candle is, I'll bring this up for you guys and kind of show you here on Nvidia. We were, wick bottom, wick top. We were kind of in the midst of forming a doji there. We got 21 seconds left on this candle, so we'll see what happens in and around these prices. Again, this is kind of where we saw support before, and so could be a bid forming on that. And look at that, with 9 seconds left, give or take. We're trying to close green, but a slightly green doji candle. 2, 1.
I'm long the Nasdaq, guys.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we'll keep looking at this. We'll keep looking at this Nvidia chart and see if we can't rally this up to the upside and help Heron's position a little bit in terms of a long. We have moved down quite aggressively on this. So looking to see if we can't find maybe a little bit of a reversal. We'll see what happens there. I think Phantom saying I think we need jolts to give us a direction. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that maybe we'll see what that number comes out at. And then we'll see if the market is receptive to that, especially since we've had such a pronounced move to the downside. I hope your long is paying you. I see NVIDIA kind of holding a little bit, but it's probably based off your entry, if anything. But NVIDIA finding a little bit of support in and around that 881 area, and we're kind of moving into this range. A stock like NVIDIA. When I trade it, I use very little shares. You can probably, you could lose a lot on a little bit of shares, and you can gain a lot on a little bit of shares. I usually trade this with no more than 10 shares. No lie.
I'm out on that long, guys. It's getting a little aggressive, but that was a pretty solid winner. Sorry, I'm up about a 2.7 R.
Let's go. Yeah. And looking at this NVIDIA chart, we're again recovering, still within the opening 5-minute range, right? And so if I'm going to zoom in and we're going to look at this here a little bit closely, right? So you got a high here of 889.33, a low of 881.22. Pretty big range for any stock, but NVIDIA moves like this quite often. You'll see a $20 move throughout any given day on NVIDIA. We're still in a consolidative manner on NVIDIA. We haven't decided if we're going to push back up and get through these levels that we were at yesterday. So still in a bit of consolidation, but again, that 881 proving again these 3 5-minute candles, and then that we were going to support that. And on a stock like NVIDIA, $1, and I say this, $1 is not much on NVIDIA. On a stock that's basically $900, it's not a lot. So realistically, you're looking and saying, okay, we're supporting this 882 a little bit. Again, we're not out of the woods with this. I think the level to get through is going to be this 893 level. If we get through the 893 level, we could see a rally in this, but timing is everything, right? We're going to see if that JOLTS job number, we're going to see what the reaction is going to be off of it, right? On days like today, I like to look at the charts to help inform decisions. I don't want to go in with a bias, because if I look at this, right, I say, oh man, bias short, but we got a 10 o'clock number coming, and this was an outsized move coming into the market. We'll check back in on Tesla, see what it's doing. Kind of mired and not a lot of, again, just a slow grind. I saw this yesterday, right, where there was an outsized sell or an outsized buy, and then it was just at the open, and then it just kind of grinded the opposite direction pretty much the rest of the day. The Qs were basically flat at the end of the day. We went nowhere. We took a round trip, and really did not go too many places. Looking at Tesla here, I see 166 resistance, and I see the 162 support. So $4 range kind of establishing itself here very early in the open. Barry talking about fibs. Fibs suck. I just use 50% retrace. It has that many levels. It always hits one of them. I've been having keyboard issues. He would have mentioned earlier, he was trying to express his hate for the fibs earlier. And that's kind of what I was saying with fibs, right? You can find a level, but like, oh, I hit the 38.2. Yeah, that's definitely like the key level is the 38.2. But really, you're looking at this price here, 166. 166 rejection, 166 kind of rejection again, and you see 162 support. Like that, at the end of the day, price and volume, that's what matters. But if this helps you see the market, then more power to you. I know people that use fibs because it gives them a disciplined way to approach trades, and in a mechanical way, and they can use it and say, I trade this level and I trade this level and I set my stop loss here, and it either works or it doesn't, and they see if they can't find an edge in the market that way. So again, to each their own. There's a cajillion, if that's a real number, number of indicators.
It's a technical term.
A cajillion. So there's a cajillion indicators out there, right? And somebody uses them. I don't know who, but somebody uses them. So the Nasdaq still kind of falling, but I see Tesla kind of holding a little bit. Not as not completely a V-shaped recovery, but now you're starting to look for relationships, and I see Tesla kind of holding against this market a little bit that continues to leak. Let's go look back at Nvidia. Nvidia kind of breaking out of this 5-minute range, or attempting to break out of this 5-minute range, and showing some continuation. But we gave up that 882 level, and now we're trading below the 880 level, made a new low. But again, Nvidia being one of the super volatile names. And if you guys haven't looked at something like, you say, hey, I want to trade Nvidia. I know we talked about this before. You can do like an NVDX, and this is basically an ETF that tracks Nvidia, and you can kind of trade this, in the same way you would trade in Nvidia. And so let's put this on the 5-minute chart and see how it looks one against the other. Again, not going to be liquid in the pre-market. So you're going to have to wait till the open market to trade this. So you can kind of look at this and say, okay, a $2 move in NVDX versus a $15 move in Nvidia. So you can kind of get in here and manage it a little bit. And then you can say, okay, well, what are the spreads on NVDX? And this is stuff that I do all the time when I'm trying to see, okay, if I could trade something. So you got about a 40-cent spread. All right. So, you do have to take that into account. 15, it was 40 cents. It was 15 cents. So, you do have to take that into account. And if you take that against the price of NVDA, let's see what the spread looks like on that right now. Nvidia, where is price? There we go. Nvidia, about anywhere from a 40-cent spread to things that thing's been opening up to $1. And it's you notice that I can't keep up on it with this on this Super Dom. Like, it's just price is moving so many places that it can't even keep up on with it on here. So something to take into account. But Nvidia definitely looking to move lower as we see a little bit of continuation to the downside on these markets. And Nvidia kind of it's just been straight down ever since 830. You'd have thought we had an 830 number.
You would have thought,
but I didn't see it.
No. And guys, you have to be again super careful. I'm seeing it's very thin. It's very thin with the way that we're trading right now. When you're looking at the big indices, congratulations on that scalp, by the way, Barry. We are seeing a little bit of consolidation here. We may see a bounce. But when you're looking at these candles, again, I use order flow. So I know this can go over a couple of people's heads because it's a different system. But when you're looking at the NASDAQ, this is what we're accustomed to seeing. We're accustomed to seeing double digits in the imbalances. What does that mean? That means that on one side or another, we see double digits of orders hopping in at particular price levels. Whenever I see that, that's just a standard thing that we're seeing in the NASDAQ. What we've seen recently, and especially this morning, is we're seeing a lot of single digits. In other words, we're seeing a lack of participation. So it's ironic because we're seeing a divergence in cumulative delta. Cumulative delta is building continuously, and yet price isn't building with cumulative delta. We're finally starting to see some strength here. This means that these orders are most likely being absorbed into the market. These candles, cumulative delta, is looking primarily at orders that are coming in at market. It's not necessarily looking at working orders. That the same is true of the imbalances. So you have to be incredibly careful when you're trading these kinds of markets, because this is a very indecisive collection of information. As David says, you can hop into this thing, see if you can get paid or get out at no loss. If you have, say, a really great entry, a really great stop, then you don't have to pay for this information. But I would prefer to sit on my hands until, like Phantom was saying, we get a clear idea of what's actually happening with the market, which will likely come from that JOLTS report. Until that report, I don't think I'll be placing another trade. I got trading is, there's always an element of luck, right? So when I traded that long off of lows here. I got in and I got out just a couple of points before the high, and then this thing dumped immensely. That let me know any other day I could have won that trade. I could have lost that trade. So I'm being very, very, very careful. Phantom saying, it used to go over my head, but now I understand from Aaron explaining it all the time. Hey, I'm glad to hear it, brother. I'm glad to hear it. I'm doing a full breakdown of level 2 data here in a couple weeks. I'm actually doing a webinar for anyone interested transitioning from Forex to futures this coming weekend. Just taking a look at how we can make the transition for you guys as easy as possible. Please be on the lookout for that. Sorry, David. What else are you seeing? Are you seeing much of anything, my friend?
No, I do still see Tesla holding a bid a little bit, and I'm trying to make a decision on here in terms of, do I try to get a quick scalp long in on Tesla in and around this 166 level? But we're so early in that 5-minute candle. I don't, and it was just an extended move in that first minute. I need to see it sustain. And yeah, I should have bought the 166 because we're trading up near 167 right now, but that's right at, and that was kind of what I was trying to scalp that first dollar. But yeah, I kind of missed that move. We'll wait and see, because that's that 50% level that Barry's going to sell short at. So I have to make sure that I'm out of Barry's way, because he likes those 50% retracements in terms of building a counter move. So, taking a long into resistance is never a good idea. We rejected that 167 once. We traded down. I'm gonna try and see if I can't scalp into that level again. I feel like we could retest this. We're early into this. So if we swoop down below the 166 or to that 166 level, see if resistance becomes support. I may be interested in it, but I need a little bit more. I need a little bit more confirmation, because what we're forming on the 5-minute, anyways, halfway through the candle, is a long wick on the top of the price action, which means more selling pressure than buying pressure. And really, what I'm looking to try and do is try to take advantage of very short-term momentum to see if we can't retest those highs. So I'm looking to try and get into something. A lot of times when I try to do this, it like picks up my order and then sells off anyways, if I'm going long, or vice versa if I'm going short. So a little bit of a risky play here, but since the open, we have rallied on price in Tesla. And if I can get that movement again, I feel like we should be able to get that size movement and be out of the way for that 10 o'clock number, because we've had this conversation before. Like, I'm not going to get in position right at the number, but I don't have a feeling on levels right now that's so definitive that I'm saying I'm going to stay in position into the number. Instead, I'm going to have to wait, get the number, see the numbers, see the reaction to the number, and then try to find trades after that. I don't want to participate through the number, if you will.
Exactly. It's trying to trade to as opposed to through the number is very, 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 very difficult because we have to focus primarily on understanding the structure and understanding whether or not this structure supports your strategy. Right now, what we're seeing in this market is we reached the low after a very clear decision by the market that 18,288 was too expensive. We came back to this area around the 18,225, and the market isn't sure right now if that price is too cheap. Why do I say that? Because we have made repeated attempts to move higher and move lower. There's a lack of clarity in this kind of market, although volume shows an immense amount of clarity. This type of disparity within markets is something I don't want to be involved in. If you guys saw my charts, I did try to throw on a position because I thought we were starting to see some weakness in this market right around this 240, but I took it off immediately because as soon as I put the position on, the market bounced up quick, speed, lightning. And I'm no McQueen, so I can't trade with that kind of speed and try to and try to actually make money. So I'm going to wait for this thing to make a clear decision. And I suggest you guys do the same. Barry saying his tortoise just killed the internet. Luckily, he was not in the trade. You have a tortoise, Barry? That's pretty sick. The only thing that I have is the dog, but that's such a standard thing. I feel like a tortoise is such a cool animal. David, do you have a tortoise?
I do not have a tortoise.
Okay.
No.
Okay. I was taking a little back. I read a lot of stuff, a lot of questions, guys. I can talk about level 2. I can talk about macroeconomic events. I was not prepared to talk about Barry's tortoise. That's saying nothing's going to beat his hamster. I respect that, sir. Your hamster deserve everything that he gets. Let's take a look here, guys. So this market is doing what this market does. Let's see here.
Yeah, Tesla's still holding that 166 level. I did get into a small long just to see, just forward testing this idea. We're kind of holding above this 5-minute level. I do want to get the heck out of the way into this. I am going to, again, very, very small position. This is not something that is going to necessarily make my day. And so just, so
No, do your thing, man. Do your thing. We can still talk about the farm.
Just, like I'm like stumbling over words. I'm like hoping I don't get like fat fingered into the position. Sometimes, depending on if I'm using like a mouse trader or I'm using like the chart to trade. Sometimes when I meant to buy, I sell, and when I mean to sell, I buy. So I think this has happened to everybody that's traded for more than a couple of days. Is, oh yeah, come on, baby, get through that. Oh, just
don't start talking to it, Dave. Don't you do it. We're 8 minutes out. We're 8 minutes out from news, man. You can't be talking to the position.
Go! No, I took 2 exits off of that. Moved my stop break even. And yeah, now I'm out of the position. Yeah, I was just really trying to scalp into that 177 level. I saw that it was kind of holding in and around there. Was able to take a small profit on that. But we continue to reject that 177 level. We were holding that 166 level. We'll see if it continues to hold, but that's in and around that 177 level. And I'll kind of show you guys on the chart what I was talking about. You can kind of see my sells into here. Sold the first piece, sold another piece into that 177. Had some for the dream, right? I always keep a little piece on board for the dream. See if it just kind of goes through. And then if for some reason if it continues to run, now I can afford to add to the position. But we've rejected that 177 decisively. Took my best out was 166.79, and then we are now kind of back into the 166 level. So this is now the range is tightening up a little bit on Tesla, but no more trades for me. I think until after 10 o'clock. At this point, I am now going to stay out of the way. Took a small winner, so I'm gonna take a small lap a little bit on that winner. But I'm looking around to try and see what is moving in these markets. But yeah, it was just like a little piece that I was trying to blow it up, see if we couldn't get towards that 178 or that 168 and and into the 169 to see if I could scalp a little bit more out. But no, she did not do that for me. But yeah, I really had like less than a quarter of the position left. I was just trying to move it in my direction. But what I do see in Tesla is that this is kind of grinding a little bit higher as it stands right now. It's grinding a little bit higher when the market is still moving down a little bit. So it is showing a little bit of relative strength. This 162 level, that's what matters, right? Like if this 162 level doesn't hold, then we can kind of see this continuation to the downside. We are at that 50% retracement, give or take. We kind of wicked into that a little bit. So again, I might have been selling into Gary or into Barry looking to go short in and around these prices. That could be what's happening there. So we still have some levels to work through, but yeah, so far so good on the day. Small profit take on that. Going to have to wait for some opportunities after 10 o'clock. And if you look at my watch list, lots of red on most of my watch list. So let's look at the few green names that we have. Reddit, let's pull it up. I'm going to put it over this Tesla chart because that way I don't get tempted to overtrade that. And we'll look at Reddit. Yeah, Reddit strong off the open. Open down, went down to $44. We're now trading at $46.83. So Reddit with a little bit of strength. We did sell off a bit yesterday, but Reddit holding its own a little bit. Excuse me. Where is? I know it's up here somewhere. There it is. Okay, let's talk about this stock. This is hilarious. We'll pull it up over this NVIDIA chart. Are there any DJT holders out there? If you bought into the stock, this used to be DWAC. It's now Trump Media and Technology Group. Had a 22% sell-off yesterday. Kind of trying to hold a bid this morning. This thing was up near $80 from its IPO. Let's see if we can't pull 20 days of price action, and then we'll see if we can't do an hourly. We'll take a look at this on the hourly. But look at this price action up to that $80 level, kind of down from that level. This was FOMO trade. Like this was just insane price action. This is I can't remember if this was the morning where it halted up. It opened up, turned into DJT, and halted up, or if that was a little bit earlier. But yeah, we were up here at $80 at one point. We're now trading at or around $48. I think this needs a couple weeks to figure out what is the actual price of the stock, and then see where we can go from there. And then again, we'll see when it starts posting quarterly results on DJT. We'll see what happens with the stock. But yeah, I looked at this thing and I was just like, $80 was really, really expensive. I feel bad if people got in up here and just, now they've had to ride this and lost 50% of their money pretty much on this. Quick rally off the open, and then volume's really dying off of this quite aggressively. So we are coming into 10 o'clock. Here in about a minute and 30 seconds by my estimation. So we're gonna have that number there. Aaron, I'm gonna pull your charts up here real quick, and then I am going to grab the web page to see if we can't, and then we'll bring this up here with about a minute to go till that number hits. We'll see if we can't get that thing to come in and show us what we're going to be working with in these markets. Really, really nervous markets this morning.
I like it. And when I say I like it, I don't really like it. I'm trying to speak positively.
I think what Aaron is saying is that he likes being here with all of you, as do I. And we do like that aspect. In terms of honestly, I just want the market to print for me in whatever direction I say it should go, and then it goes and it goes forever. And I make one trade for the rest of my life, and I just add to the position or take out of the position as I need to go. Need a little spending money, need to do this, need to do that. All kidding aside, I will say that anything worth having isn't easy, right? And if it was easy, it wouldn't be worth having. It's just the way it is, right? Whether that's a college degree or some sort of certification or being able to be profitable in these markets. We are at 10 o'clock. We're starting to get numbers here. Okay, so Jolt's job openings coming in at 8.75 versus a consensus of 8.75. I see a forecast of 8.84, but I don't see that. I see more job openings.
Yeah.
We'll see what the market reaction is to it. We did kind of front run this, one of my favorite terms. We front ran right, going into the number. So let's see if
Right.
we get a little bit of continuation, a little bit of continuation off of there. But yeah, we were forecasted to have more job openings, so we kind of came in line, but we do have more job openings than before because people like me aren't going out there and looking for a job where I have to work for somebody else. We're sitting at home and trading these markets, and they need me in the workforce. And I'm saying, you don't pay enough, my friend. So if you don't pay enough, I'm not going to be there. I don't care if a cheeseburger costs $20 or not. No need to be.
Yeah. And it is what it is, guys. I mean, when you look at this price action, when you look at this candle, you have to remember. So this candle was at 9:59. This candle was at 10 o'clock. So within that span, within a minute's time, we saw all this price action. We saw us move from 255 all the way down to 214 and back again. So 40 points of price movement in 60 seconds. It's almost moving a point a second. So you got to stay out the way a little bit and figure out if the market decides on a direction. I'm a little apprehensive. I did have a great trade earlier. I'm already up 2.7 R. First trade of the week. To be honest with you guys, I'm a little annoyed with this price action. I want to play something sexy for you guys. I want there to be that beautiful, lacy, red panty trade up there. It doesn't look like it's up there. We're seeing a collection of who cares on the charts here. I want to wait for this thing to break above this 18,250. I've been talking about that level since earlier today. If we break above it and we decide that we can hold it, then I'm very interested in trying to buy it. But I need to see it hold, and I need to see it hold with some severity. Volume thinks that it's positive, but the market may not agree with volume. We got to keep super sharp. Really quickly, shout out to Phantom and his 6 anteaters. We're very happy for you and your lovely family. Guys, I'm waiting for this position in order to be able to move appropriately. One thing that we've been doing a lot in the London stream is we've been doing more to try to keep you guys as involved as possible. And one thing that we're trying to do here is make sure that we're educating you guys, but also making sure you're having a good time. So we're trying to make content that speaks to you guys. If you guys are interested, please let me know down in the chat if you want to see a full breakdown of my fancy pants charts. If you'd be interested in learning more about the whole futures space, we're doing more content around that. Very excited to share that with you guys soon. I have a new show that's going to be coming out next week, Futures Focus, looking at a lot of terms of futures, how futures work, why you should be trading futures, and the like. Very excited to be doing that kind of thing. Guys, we're seeing a beautiful push up in the NASDAQ right now.
Mm-hmm.
We've gotten well above my 250 area. 15 points is usually good enough for me. Now I'd like to see this thing consolidate a little bit or come back cleanly to that 250 area, and then I'll be very interested in buying it, but not a moment before, not a moment after. So let's see what happens here as we push to the downside. I've been talking about crude oil a little bit as well, but crude oil's been really sleepy. I told you guys I wanted to be long right around here, around the 84.50, and I missed the opportunity. I had an alert on. I was thinking about it, but I was too focused on the NASDAQ, missed the opportunity, could have ridden this thing up to about 84, 88, which isn't great. It's not really good enough for me anyway. So in a way, I'm happy I didn't take it because I would have wanted to take it up to $85. But it is what it is. So I'm waiting for this guy to pull back now and for us to find an opportunity. But let's take a look at the larger time frame to make sure we're in line with what's happening. When you're looking at the larger time frame, this is a weekly chart looking at everything that's happened in the past 7 days. This is the lowest we've been in 7 days. Where from a monthly perspective, this is the lowest we've been since March 20th. It's been 12 days, 13 days since we've been around these levels. So we have to be very, very, very cautious with this kind of price action. The quarterly speaks to that as well. Now, if we can close with some serious aggression, on this 30-minute chart, for example, towards the upside, that will further strengthen my buying position, and I'll be looking to extend my targets a little bit more than my standard 2.5, and that fun stuff. So that's going to be something that I'm looking for more confirmation on the longer time frames before I extend my targets. For now, if we get back to the 250, I'll be buying it, but I'll be buying it and having quite a small target. I only look for about 12 points. That's 2R for me because my stop is quite tight at 6 points. So if you want to trade and you want to make money, you have to be able to confirm your biases on multiple different levels and set your expectations accordingly. If this thing pops below this low and then makes a new low, I'm not expecting to buy it and not get kicked in the jaw. You have to be prepared, and you have to understand that there are expectations that you have to place upon this market, and you have to first and foremost manage your risk appropriately. Now we're down to that 250 level. I'm looking for an entry, but I'm not a big fan of how quickly we push to the downside. So I'd like to see some real strength pop in this candle before I buy it. Barry, I'm interested in learning futures. We'll watch your vids, but may not be able to join live this weekend's normally busy. I get it, my friend. And we'll do some more stuff. We're trying to do some more activities to make sure everybody can participate. But I'm glad to hear it, Barry. I'll definitely look for you in any of the videos and shout you out. You've done a considerable amount to help my trading. It'd be an honor to help you with yours. So we're not seeing what I want to see, guys. I want to get long here, but the buyers are having an incredibly difficult time pushing to the upside. I always look at the market from the perspective of what's easier right now. Is it easier for us to push lower, or is it easier for us to push higher? Right now, it appears that it's easier for us to push lower. Why do I say that? Well, look at volume. Volume is pushing high, pushing high, pushing high, struggling, failing. Pushing high, pushing high, pushing high, struggling, failing. And that's what you're seeing with these wicks to the upside. We've pushed higher, failed, and then made a considerable low for that candle. What I want to see is strong buyers coming in, closing with aggression, just like that. And then I want to see another candle form towards the upside direction. Why am I not hopping into the position now? I'm not a big fan of how quickly things are happening. I do think this thing could pop, but I want to see less selling pressure. There's a possibility that I could miss it because I'm being too patient, but that is A-okay. I'm looking to make money. I'm not looking to be right. I know that statistically, I lose approximately 59% of my trades. So on any given trade, I'm expected to lose because I lose more than half the time. That being said, I know that I already have some money that I need to protect. So if I'm placing another trade, it better be a good one. And right now, this isn't looking. It's not looking great. Each time we've pushed up here, we've made a lot of buying pressure, but we haven't been able to establish enough power to create a positive candle here. So being patient, sitting on your hands is the best thing that you can do. David, are you seeing anything interesting on your side, sir?
I'm seeing Tesla hold in at around 166. I'm in position right now with very little shares, and this is just kind of what I got going on. I'll bring this up here. Got a beak wetter right here for 50% of the position to see if we can't get out of there. I am waiting down lower at 165 if we fail this to catch up, to get more shares, and then see if I can't scalp those out. If not, if we're going to get continuation from here, Tesla is kind of mired in this 5-minute range, right? We've not closed above or below the opening 5-minute range. We've been kind of in this consolidation here. If these shares play out for me, these are just scalp longs, i.e. I'm going to take some for a little bit of a profit take and then kind of continue towards the high of the day. If not, I'll look to basically see if we can't get some underfills of where VWAP is right now, which looks like I may get filled on those, and then scalp those on the way up. That will give me a lower average price that allows me to kind of scalp those out. But that's basically what I'm looking at right now. in terms of my positions. But yeah, right now we're just kind of hugging the lows a little bit, and see, and it might be that we need, again, we've seen this before. The longer this consolidates, the better off we are, right? In and around these price levels, and seeing that it's going to hold this at support. If you're looking to take this back long, you kind of, it'd be nice if we can get our decisions made right away. But unfortunately, we can't, right? So we're going to have to take it with a little bit of take it easy, right? And see if we can't retrace through some of these levels. Make sure that you're not over leveraged into a position, because depending on your trading style, right? Again, I'm looking to say, okay, I think Tesla 165 seems to be a little bit better buy if we're going to be really kind of consolidative in and around these prices. And I may be looking to sell into the 166 versus the 167 as we retrace a little bit off that 50%. Again, if we break the 165 level, I will cut that trade, and there's really no need to participate anymore till we get down to the 162 level and make a decision down there. I've seen a lot more range bound trading the past few days instead of kind of like that continuation trade. I've just kind of seen kind of the back and forth. So if you're a good range bound trader and you can see the range and kind of establish and play within the range, then by all means play the range. If not, then wait for volume and price to tell you to follow a trend and try to hop in on there. But since the open, Tesla has been holding a bid, so I am leaning long on Tesla. But again, as Aaron says, I'm trying to get paid. I'm trying to get paid. I don't need to be right on these trades, and so you do have to look at where you're buying, where you're selling, and make sure that you're allowing yourself enough time to execute your trades properly. But yeah, we are still hanging out at these lows for sure. But again, Tesla's showing relative strength since the open, right? We're above where we sold off from, even though the market is continuing to trend down. So I'm hoping for enough of a pop in these markets off this 18,200 level to see if we can't get enough of a pop in Tesla that says I can get out of the trade for a small winner, because it just seems like it's going to be a little bit more consolidative than I would like. Tesla doesn't necessarily have to pay me $3 in 1 minute, but I would like it to move in the direction. I've taken my first profit taker on that. I am again in position here. And I'm looking here and I'm saying, okay, needing to manage my way around this position. We are trying to hold that 165 level. My average price is closer to 165.60, or I'm sorry, 165.50. So we're still seeing a bit of support in and around this 165, and this is kind of what I mean here. These wicks here are around the 165. We are holding in and around these prices. We did form a lower high on the 5 minute. So, you do have to take that into account. I'm going to sell some into this a little bit. So we'll sell 20. Yeah, we'll sell 20 shares here. And then we'll kind of hold the rest and see what we do with the rest of it. Again, I don't necessarily want to be in this thing all day. I do have 55 shares left, so we'll go ahead and start setting orders against this high here. See if we can't against that high, and then see if we can't. Yep, there we go. Thank you. And then we'll take what do we have left? See if we can't again take some against this high here, and see if we're going to retest this. I feel like if we're going to retest these highs, then we shouldn't be doing that for no reason. And then I'm going to take my stop and take it to break even. And then the rest of these shares can just kind of go up somewhere up there. And then I'll manage that as we move along. So yeah, I have made my bed, if you will. Again, my stop is literally $1 below where we're at right now. So if we're going to reject that, I don't even need to be in this thing. I'll let this kind of, I want this to hold the 166 and instead of wicking back down to the 165. I don't want to participate in, I like to trend trade. I don't like to range trade. So that's basically what I'm looking to do on this position here. So let's see if we do that. And I'm going in with smaller size, guys, because I don't have a true feel on the market. Right. I'm looking at this and saying, okay, here's what I think price is doing in and around these prices. I don't need to be a hero on these trades. So I'm just looking to demonstrate how I manage positions, but I'm doing this a lot lighter than I usually do. A lot of times I'll go in here with, several hundred shares and just kind of scalp through this. But again, I'm not getting the warm and fuzzy that I usually have on these markets. And then I'm going to get rid of these fib levels because, as Barry says, it's kind of hard to see the charts when you got a bunch of stuff on there. But we've rejected the 50% retracement level several times, but we're seeing upward pressure on the stock, right? We're seeing continued upward pressure on these prices. So if that's going to be true, then I want to participate in the direction of the most recent trend. And we've got a lot of room as we zoom out. We got a lot of room till we get to real resistance, right? All this price action in here, that was 1 5-minute bar. So no real resistance until we get up to this 172-ish, 173-ish area. So we got a lot of room to play down here. So, I'm going to be biased long until we break through this 161 level. But yeah, that's kind of what that's what the rock is cooking this morning. It's Tesla longs.
What the rock is cooking. I mean, it's the same thing over here in Future Land. We're back to consolidation, guys. Since 10:10, so for the past 7 minutes, we've just kind of been bouncing back and forth. And like David was saying, just like what he was looking at in Tesla and a couple other assets, we're kind of in no man's land. Over the past few days, there hasn't been any other price action. This is a TPO chart. This is a chart that actually measures how long the market has been in a certain area by looking at 30-minute bars and creating letters that show where that price has been. So the first 30 minutes of today, we saw a high of 18,291. We saw a low of 18,206. And then the second 30 minutes, so on and so forth. That's all that is. The issue that we're experiencing, guys, is where could this thing stop pushing to the downside? It's very clear where it could stop pushing to the upside. It could stop up here at 286. It could stop up here at the 400. It could stop at 246 from the 20th. Those are very clear. Where could it stop to the downside? The next point of resistance on a TPO chart is down at 18,128. It's almost 100 points lower. The next one is 18,111. That is 100 points lower. And so it's very difficult for me to buy this thing because we're not bouncing off a very clear resistance here. So if I'm going to be buying it, it's going to be a very quick scalp, and I'm going to have to see this market move with some aggression. But look at the volume that you're starting to see in this price action. Cumulative delta suggests that we're getting a ton of buyers and nothing's happening. It's also suggesting that we're getting a ton of sellers and nothing is happening, because as we get intense sellers, we get intense buyers. As we get intense buyers, we get intense sellers. We're canceling ourselves out here. So my assumption moving forward is that we're going to be accepting below my level that I had previously around the 18,250. And if we've accepted below that level, I have no choice but to switch to a short bias. That does not mean that I start spamming positions immediately. That means that I am looking for the highest quality shorts. Right now, the highest quality shorts, they're not Lululemon, they're not Patagonia, they're not Levi's. They're right here at the 18,233. If we get back up to 18,233, show some weakness, pop just barely above this previous high here, that could be a great area to short this thing and find some new lows. Until we see that type of price action, I'm going to be like Phantom. I'm going to be sitting on my hands, taking a bit of a nap. Well, thank you so much, my friend. It's good seeing you. But we have to be very, very, very patient. Barry said he has VWAP and 3 standard deviations, two moving averages, and then an ATR. Sometimes I just have to take them all off, see what's going on.
Yeah, I think so what I will say to that is I think if you use those on your study charts, right, and then you can kind of memorize those levels a little bit, you can kind of use that off to the side, but not necessarily trade off of those charts, if you will, or execute off those charts. You can kind of look at that and say, okay, this is based off of your analysis and your study as an individual trader. You can kind of look at that and say what that to help study price action and kind of make it clearer. And, and then after that, I tend to do better when, again, we kind of trade. I did get stopped out of the last of that Tesla position. Again, it moved like $1 back down, ranging between 166 and 167 on there, but it is holding VWAP. Tesla moving contrary to the market. And what I mean by that is this Tesla continues to kind of coil up and show some signs of strength. And so we see here, I was out of about 70% of the position, right? We see it coiling up. We see price action on Tesla moving up, right? Let's take that against the Qs, right? And I'll just, we'll take that against the NASDAQ. Here's what the NASDAQ's doing. Down, 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 right? We're failing to find buyers in a convincing fashion, and we're trending down on that. Where Tesla against the market, right? An index name holding a bid and continuing to bid up a little bit. If the market does catch a bit of a retracement, which could be till this afternoon, you can then start to see a little bit of strength in there. And so, guys, what you want to make sure is whatever you find out there, whatever your strategy is, find a stock that's holding a bid, so that if there is a retracement in the market and we're gonna see we'll see upward momentum, then you can kind of have some things in mind. We can talk about Google real quick, see what that did today. Again, Google holding strength, right? We're rangy, we're consolidative, but we're below yesterday's close, but we're holding a bid. If you're going to trade anything to the long side, if you see NASDAQ futures taking long and you're a stock trader, these are the things you want to be able to look at to say, okay, I'm going to buy strong stocks for strong moves up, sell weak stocks for moves down. Don't get caught in the middle. And then again, these percentages, they can throw you off a little bit. You have to look at what price is actually doing in order to make a determination. You can kind of look at it and say, oh, that's down 4%. What's CVNA doing, right? But it may have caught CVNA. It may have caught a bid off the open, right? So we had the pre-market move down and caught a bid off the open, right? So if you're seeing this and it's catching a bid off the open, let's see if it forms some sort of trend. Let's see if it makes lower highs, does something to say, okay, we flushed, we're holding this bid, we're retracing up. Really the best shorts are going to be at this $84 into this $85 level. To see if you can't go back to the into the low of the day. So, don't be in a rush to get in the position. But Aaron, I think it's time to do something. And you know what time it is?
It is time for a heat check.
All right, heat check.
Jesus. Oh my God.
Lots of red out in these markets, right? Everything's selling off pretty aggressively. Tesla, one of those amongst the biggest sell-offs there. Again, if I find news on this, I'll share it in the Discord. I have no idea why it sold off like that, other than, again, Rivian posted delivery numbers for the quarter, which weren't bad. They delivered all but 500 of their vehicles. I think they manufactured something like 13.5 and delivered 13,000 vehicles last quarter. They did reaffirmed the 2024 guidance of around 57,000 vehicles. So they didn't bump up their guidance, but they reaffirmed what they expected to manufacture in 2024. But yeah, Tesla down big. Health services looks like another sector that we were selling. GE, I think this had some acquisition news, if I'm not mistaken. But boy, oh boy, 20% sell off.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it had some acquisition news, and that thing is puked all over itself. Retail trade, CVS, nobody likes the pharmacies, down big this morning. And so you're looking around, you're seeing a lot of red. What do you see that's green? Well, we kind of talked about it earlier this morning. Aaron said, I want to buy oil, and all of the oil stocks are up on the day. As a sector, up. Utilities as a sector, slightly up. Everything else, big sell. We'll go to the NASDAQ because I know we focus on that here on the stream in terms of like what we look at. Again, big sell off on just about everything. I would suspect that on days like today, the NASDAQ is just slightly weaker than the S&P because it is more tech heavy, and we've just seen a sell off in technology. But yeah, lots of red in the markets today. We'll look at look at the Russell. Small caps having a tough day today, right? Markets that are nervous don't like small caps. Small caps really taking it on the chin today. Even the biggest and the baddest of the small caps, i.e. SMCI, taking it on a chin at a tune of 4%. But yeah, so nobody's liking the squeeze stocks. Nobody's liking the SMCI. The chip stocks, it just seems like a lot of buyer exhaustion out there in the markets today. The JOLTS number didn't really give us a jolt to the upside. Instead, we continue to move to the downside, finding a little bit of support in and around that 18.2 level. Those round numbers continue to hold true as far as points of interest, whether it be support or resistance. 18.2 holding a bid. So we got as low as 18.201 is what I see on my charts, and we're trading back up into that 18.243 level. But it doesn't seem like that's a good level to buy. At least this morning, it seems like a good level, a better level to sell from and see if we get that continuation down. But again, we've seen these weird V-shaped recoveries and everything else. The NASDAQ and the markets here in the U.S. they've just continued to overreact. And so Barry stating U.S. stocks mostly followed European equities lower as healthcare insurers tumbled and investors faced the challenges as interest rate will come later than hoped. Possibly, right? I think we'll see if we can't get to it Thursday. If not Thursday, next week Tuesday we'll take a look at the Fed fund rate. Boy, tongue twister a little bit there. We'll take a look at the Fed fund rate, the tool, see where we're at. Yahoo Finance. That's that. So we'll take a look and see what the likelihood was, last month versus current month, and see if there's been a change in sentiment. Without looking at it, it seems like that's probably what's driving this lower. Market wants rate cuts. Market wants, freer money, if you will, especially for these companies that are up on the screen right now that make 40% of these don't even make any money. They need to be able to borrow at lower rates. The more we hold at higher rates, the worse off it is for them. But at the same time, the Fed's duty isn't to the market; it's to the currency. And if we start cutting rates all loosey-goosey, then that's not necessarily good for the dollar as well, as we've continued to see, the dollar kind of hold up. And we've had this rare rally, right, where the dollar continued to see strength. And the market saw a lot of strength, but that was very narrow breath market. I don't know. Never say never, but these things don't happen in this way for very much. But I think we're getting close to about quitting time here as we approach 10:30. Aaron, any further words to get us into the rest of our trading day?
Absolutely. At the end of the day, the greatest men and women that we see trade, the best of us, they all focus on left foot followed by their right, one step after another. And you have to take things day by day, trade by trade, bird by bird. There's a wonderful amount of goal setting and an incredible amount of ambitious people that are interested in making a ton of money in these markets. And there's an opportunity to make a ton of money in these markets. But we don't make that opportunity happen. We don't make that reality out of this dream by trying to go and hit for the fences every single time. We make that dream a reality by hitting singles, by hitting doubles. Sometimes that means that you trade really beautifully, exactly to your plan, and you walk away with enough to buy yourself a Starbucks cup. And you have to be okay with that. Sometimes you lose a Starbucks cup or maybe a couple more, but you have to be all right with that. You have to follow your systems first. I believe as traders that we should throw this idea of goal setting to the side, put that on the back burner, and just focus on the systems. I write down my goals on a quarterly basis, on a monthly basis. I no longer look at them on the daily, on the weekly, because I know as long as I follow my systems, I'm going to be in a place where I want to be and further. 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, when I started trading, I couldn't imagine myself sitting before you guys, even though it's a big dream for me to be able to stream and share my story with people. And now I'm doing it. And so before you know it, your dreams will come true so long as you work on what's best for you. I sound like Dr. Seuss. We would hit for the fences, but David's dad only teaches defenses, which is the first form of attack. Defense wins championships, Barry. David's dad knew what he was talking about. Thank you guys so much for joining us here at TradeDelicious. It's been an absolute honor. As always, trade well and trade delicious. We will see you Thursday.